Performance, I believe, is a result of the process. So if you're focused only on performance and you're not enjoying the process, there's no fun.
Yeah.
Enjoy the process, have the right people around you, understand exactly where you are, because everybody's journey is different and we need to respect that journey. And it, like, a lot of people can look at, like me, say, wow, like, she's doing it, so can I. And of course you can. If you put in that effort, you will be able to. But see where you are in the process and then create that path for yourself, or get someone to help you create that path for yourself. Like, your goals are there, you will get them, but enjoy the process to get there.
I am Venki and this is the Working Athlete Podcast. Here I talk to working athletes from all walks of life and experts from various sports to provide you with inspiration, training tips, time management and lifestyle advice. If this is something that interests you, please make sure you subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss any future episodes. Today's guest, Tim Tim Sharma, is a runner, cyclist, triathlete, S&C and Yoga instructor and a coach. This is Tim Tim Sharma's second time on the podcast. The first time she was on the podcast in episode number 111, we talked about her journey so far with regards to running and cycling. We also talked about her comeback to podiums after dealing with debilitating injuries. If you have not heard that episode, I would highly recommend it. In this episode, we talk about her triathlon journey, including her win at the Goa Ironman 70.3 last year and her future goals with triathlon. We also talk about her strength and conditioning routine, the importance of nutrition towards achieving one's athletic goals, and her coaching philosophy in guiding her trainees. As always, her energy makes it so much fun to talk to her. I hope you enjoy this episode as much as I did. But first, this episode is brought to you by Findbetter.ai. Findbetter is a social networking app for cycling and running enthusiasts to discover and shop together. For a cycling enthusiast like me, it is a treasure trove to find all sorts of bikes and accessories, both used and new. I tend to get a lot of direct messages asking for where to find a bike on a budget, etc. Nowadays, I simply tend to direct them to the Find Better app. It is an app that is completely free to use and is available both on Google Play Store and the App Store. Download and you can follow me on the app as well. I am there on the app as Bikey Venky, Bikey Venky. This episode is brought to you by The Bike Affair. If you are in search of a one-stop destination that caters to all your cycling needs, our today's sponsor, The Bike Affair, is the perfect place to check out. I have known the founders of The Bike Affair, Krish and Gokul, personally for nearly 15 years now. In fact, my first century ride was with Krish back in 2008. They are both exceptional human beings and entrepreneurs that believe in providing exceptional service to their customers. And it shows. With over 14 years of experience, the Bike Affair has established itself as a trusted source offering honest advice and exceptional service. They are offering a special treat for the listeners of this podcast. You can enjoy a 10% discount on your first order by using the code BikeyVenky on their website. So if you are in Hyderabad, visit their store in Kondapur, or if you are anywhere else in India, shop online by using the link thebikeaffair.com. I will leave the link in the show notes. Now, enjoy the podcast. Hi, Tim Tim. Welcome to the Working Athlete Podcast again, round 2.
Hey Venki, it's good to be back. I've gone out and I've been doing a lot of adventures, which I'm very happy to share with everyone today. So excited about the podcast today.
Nice. So last time we covered quite a bit. Your start of the endurance journey, and then we talked about your initial rise in running, and then the eventual kind of fall due to injury, and then how you kind of crawled back, worked your way back into running, then cycling, and all that, and got back to your winning ways. Now, this time I want to kind of talk a little bit about your triathlon journey, that you combined your running, cycling, and added the swimming aspect. And
Yeah, because obviously one sport is not enough, right? Like you have to be really bad at three sports, and one sport is not enough to make you broke. So you're like, okay, you know what? I want two more.
right.
Yeah.
So let us try and talk about your triathlon journey, and then your coaching with running and yoga and all, strength training and everything, right? So you do quite a bit of stuff. So let's cover a little bit of
Let's
that.
get straight into it, man. Like, let's do that. So, let's talk about Goa 70.3. In fact, last time when we had spoken, I'd just finished my state trials. I'd come back, and that was the next thing that I was gearing up for. In fact, you wished me luck also for it. And thank you. I think it may have been that piece of good luck that you gave me that it went really, really well for me. So, obviously, like, I had started training for it in April is when I signed up for it, which is when mentally I was like, okay, now I need to start going for it. And contrary to what most triathletes do, which is that they train for all three sports as one sport, because of the simple fact that I had a very, very strong foundation in two of the three sports, plus good mobility and a good amount of strength. I started training for performance in each vertical of the sport, which means that in cycling, so I would be going hard in cycling, I would be going hard in running, and swimming, to care, it was very bad for me. So I went as hard as I could. So in fact, what I did was that I had an individual coach. So running, of course, is my baby. So I understand my body. Nobody understands my body better than me when it comes to running. So for running, I kept the training under my own control. Swimming is extremely technical. So swimming, especially after my nationals, because when I went for the national triathlon, it was such a tight slap on my face. Why? Because I was the second last person to come out of the pool, and because the distances were so short, I did not have time to catch up in the overall scheme of things, which is where I realized that if you are not good at swimming, if you are not good at one particular leg of the sport, it affects the entire event. So once I came back, in fact, there was a coach who was already there at the pool that I was training in, and he had told me multiple times to get a little serious. And I was like, please, I have two more sports to do, and I fund everything on my own. So I have to focus on that. But then I realized that if I am serious about doing the 70.3 distance, I need to be really serious about swimming as well. And the right coach makes a world of a difference. Like he or she can change the way that you look at the sport, right? And touch wood, like I've been blessed, like I've had the right people, or they've come along to me at some point of time or the other, especially when I needed them. So once I finished, I came back. They were still very proud of me that I represented Karnataka. I wasn't, right? Because I knew exactly what I had done and how humbling that experience was. So I came and had a conversation with him. So that was Daniel Rodriguez. And he said, okay, let's get straight into it. And from a person who was dragging herself to the pool like maximum of 2 to 3 days a week, I knew I had just about 3 weeks to go, 4 weeks to go. There's not much you can do in that much time, but I was like, I'm going to give whatever I can do, I will. And luckily enough, I had a coach who supported me in that as well. So if I was swimming 2 kilometers on a day, like he was walking 2 kilometers lap on lap, every stroke of mine, he was like, every time I would take my head out, I could see him correcting my form. Like whether it is the way that I'm putting my hand in, whether it is the kicks that I'm doing. So he gave me a lot of individualized attention, and that is still in my head. So even now, when I go and I swim, everything that he has told me at that point in time, because that was when I was under a lot of duress, and he gave me that individualized, customized attention, it all went into my head. And that is what I'm taking forward with me even now, right? So that was the swimming. And then, of course, cycling. Ankush has been coaching me. And when everything seems to be going right, I don't see why I need to change anything. So he continued coaching me, and he's still coaching me. And cycling has just been improving. In fact, you have been witness to it as well. A lot of the bar races that I've come to. So we decided that we will take my road bike, because a lot of, in fact, when I signed up for Ironman, Ankush wanted me to buy a TT bike, but I was being extremely cheap. I was like, no, who's going to spend so much? I was like, there's enough of expenses as it is, right? So then we decided, because anyway, it's a little, but it's a very fast bike, the one that I have. So we decided we'll go with the aerobars. So at some point in time, the aerobars came on, and then all that I was doing was riding in the aero position, and cycling went well. See, it's a very basic, and running, so of course it was going on. So these were the three separate sports. So I had a single coach for every sport, every discipline. And although they would all have liked that I spent more time on the sport, like this is just how much, this is just how much time you're going to get, right? And then the overall load was managed by me. Because only I knew what was the entire load of what I was doing. So, and add to that strength and conditioning and yoga, because like I've told you before, yoga to avoid injuries, and strength and conditioning, the fitter athlete, stronger athlete will always be a better performer. So your fitness and your strength has to continuously be increasing. And when you're going in for performance, if you look at like your shorter distance, you see there's a lot more strength element which is incorporated into training, right? In endurance, we don't do that much. But if you think about it logically, if you have better quality of muscle, it will fire better. And so I was not willing to, at any point in time, compromise on either of these two. So, and of course, workload to continues as it is. So it was a true, like, especially after, I think June, because that's when I did my first trail run, and then I went into a very focused training block. Then it became like from June to November, when the event happened, it was just like one big long endurance event for me. And it was the same thing. Like, because it's so much volume, it's just the same thing over and over again. And today, like, especially after I did the 70.3, I have so much of respect for people who race the full Ironman distance, because just in doing the half, racing the half, not finishing, racing the half, oof.
Yeah. Especially in the conditions that were there in Goa.
Oh, right? Yes, yeah. And then that was the thing, right? Like, how do you what is that word?
Adapt to the...
More than that, no. How do you simulate those conditions in a place like Bangalore?
Right, yeah.
You can't. We are spoiled. You take Bangalore people, you put them somewhere
Even
else.
if you go out, in midday, like 12 or 2 in the afternoon, it is not as humid as Goa, that,
It is not as hot. The sun is like sun god over there has decided to, like, that's his home. I am going to give you guys all the vitamin D that is possible, in one day or 1 week or whatever it is. So yeah, so that was the next thing that needed to be done. So of course, there is like any training plan, there's periodization, there was maximum volume, then there was a taper, all of it. In between, there were so many events that I did as well. But then the main event the entire time had been Goa, right? So I was not willing to compromise on Goa. I was like, or koi event, anything may happen to any event, but this event, I will give it everything. Because I'll tell you very, very simply, okay? And again, this is like the cheapness in me is going to come out. Where I have paid so much for the registration.
Right.
I have paid so much for my nutrition, because in my nutrition, I went and I sourced Morton gels and Morton Elite Mix, because you cannot go wrong with it. Right. I did not know how my body is going to react. So I couldn't, I wanted to make everything else as stable, the environment as stable as possible, so that I reduce any kind of mishaps that can happen, right? There's certain things that are not under our control, like you said, the heat, the route, but there's certain things that are under our control. And for me, I have control issues in life. So I was just like, I accept it. So I was just like, you know what? I'm going to control everything to the extent that is possible. So whether it was my tri-suit, which came, I wanted it to be matching to my bike. So everything was matching. Okay, so it came down from the States. It came 2 months prior to my event. Like, everything of my event, every leg of my event was planned. After I did my nationals, I worked so hard. In fact, even during my nationals, I remember telling you that the day before, I was just working on the cleating in, cleating out, and the transitions. Everything, I did not leave anything that I could control to chance. I did not do it. So we decided again, this time it was my debut, so I wanted everyone, like my family, my parents, my brother, of course, my coach. So he's also like a huge moral support for me, right? So I wanted him there. Then I had a few friends who came along, and it was incredible. So it was an incredible experience. And when you have such a strong team around you and so many people that you yourself have called, and you made such a big scene, you better not let them down, right? So the first thing that I did, because again, I had suffered in Ahmedabad. So for me, Ahmedabad was a huge learning experience. I had suffered by heat.
Ahmedabad, there's a national
Yes.
short distance triathlon.
Triathlon, correct. The sprint distance and the relay that we did. So my body hadn't acclimatized there. And again, like the place, the accommodation they had given to us was very, very far away. So I again like corrected all of those things. So for in terms of acclimatization, because you very rightly said, how do you deal with it? I went 1 week prior to Goa. And in that 1 week, there was I was not in AC. I had an AC room, but the AC was not turned on. And if anyone had a problem with it, they were happy. Like I was happy to get them another room, right? So that is where like acclimatization doesn't just happen that, oh, I went out and I rode at this time. Your body has to adapt to everything. You need to be outdoors. You need to be getting used to it all. And 2 days is not enough for it. So, for example, if I had to go to recently, there was Vietnam, right? And in Vietnam, a lot of people were suffering with the heat. But if you are going on a Thursday and you're racing on a Sunday, your body has not had time to acclimatize. So kaise karoge? Yeah, you can't do it.
Right.
So you have to give it the time. And especially if it is, see, it's different if it's a training race. If it is your Cat A race, then you go, you give it everything, right? So I went 1 week prior. There was no AC. Sadly, I was sick at that point in time. So I had, and it was very funny because my dad went out somewhere and he got a cold and a cough and he came home. And I was so upset. I made him wear a mask. And he wore the mask. He was very, very disgruntled about it, but he did it. And even so, I did manage to get, because at that time, again, COVID was still pretty, like it's different variants of COVID
Correct,
still
yeah.
there. And when you're training so hard, your immunity is anyway down. So it's very easy to pick it up. So I picked it up and I was just like, oh no, not 1 week before the event, right?
True.
So I refused to take antibiotics at that time. And I was just like, I'm just going to go for gold. Anyway, Goa is hot. It'll kill all the virus, whatever is there. So that's how that happened. And then, of course, the race day in itself. I mean, if we go into the details of every day, it'll just be a little bit too much.
Right.
Yeah, then we'll be sitting for another 3 hours here. But let's just fast forward to race day. Of course, in the build up to race day, there was a lot of like going out, feeling the water, figuring out the cycle route.
Feeling the stingrays, the
Jellyfish. Yeah, they were giving me kisses everywhere. Like everything was perforated, But luckily, again, even with the jellyfish, I didn't have a very bad experience. I had a couple of people who were swimming at a similar time as me, and they came back with very bad stings.
Yeah.
There was some of them.
Lot of apprehension going into the race. Even a day or couple of days before, a lot of people had the issues.
Yes.
So, but luckily, I think on the race day itself, it was a little
They
better.
had been doing the sweeping for 2 days prior to that. And in fact, I think on one of the days, there was jellyfish all over the beach, if I'm not mistaken.
Right, yeah.
You were there, right?
Correct,
Yeah, I
correct.
remember seeing you on the route also.
Yeah.
Remember seeing you on the route 2 or 3 times on the cycling and the
I was enjoying watching all of you suffer.
True sadist, I must say. So then, anyway, so we'll fast forward. There was a lot of things that went right. There were a lot of things that went wrong. A lot of people have given a lot of flack to the organizing of the event. But in their defense, what I would like to say is that an event of this magnitude, it takes a few iterations to get it right.
True.
And it's okay. Like, I mean, yes, there were certain mishaps which happened which were not that great, and it would have been fantastic if they had not happened, but it happens. And they've bought this brand to India, and they have tried to do the best that they could. Also, for 2 years prior to that, they had not been able to conduct the event.
Yeah.
So for them, it was starting from scratch all over again. Of course, like, I was also upset at multiple points when things weren't going right. But in retrospect, this is what I feel, that we just have to be a little calmer, a little patient, a little bit effort from their side, a little bit patience from our side, and say 5 or 6 years down the road, 5 or 6 iterations down the road, they will have it down right pat.
Definitely.
Yeah. So anyway, we started the event. I'm not going to go into the things that went wrong, although you can see in my head, you can just see it happening, like this went wrong, this went wrong, this went wrong. But we went and did our bike check-ins the day prior, and we had Crankmeister. You were there. The entire team was there. We had before the check-in, we had the briefing. Then we had the check-in, which happened, where we went and we put the cycles in. And I remember for that, like, the biggest question mark was like, it's going to be night. Air is not going to expand in the tire at night. Should I fill air or should I not fill air? Right? That was the big question. Eventually, I decided to take out air in one tire and fill air in one tire just to see how it goes.
What was the logic?
I just wanted to figure what was it, but then logically it doesn't make a difference because the temperature dips, the air is not going to expand, and the next morning, before it gets too hot, anyway, I'm going to be moving. So there was no point in me actually taking the air out of the tires. But it was funny to see a lot of people, like, because logically that's what I was thinking, but I was seeing everyone around me deflate their tires, and there was like this part of me which was going, no, you should deflate it, and yeah, not logical, but okay. So that happened. You're going to say something?
No, go ahead. So how did the race itself, happen? The swim,
yes,
bike and run.
Yes.
The swim, did you manage to kind of meet your targets?
Yes, I did better than my target.
No, that's good.
All kudos to Daniel Rodriguez for that, So obviously the swim started a little bit late. That should really, like, whether you get it right or not, you should stick to the time. Why? Because nutrition.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because everybody has a certain nutrition plan that they have. If you're going to stagger it out, at least let the participants know, because then they can do. There was nutrition, and then we drank I drank so much water that I felt like, I had like there was just too much. Yeah, like I wanted to. I really was dying to go pee before the event was happening, and you know that triathletes pee in their tri suits.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so eventually we realized that it's not going to happen on time. So some of them were standing, and some of us, like me, I'm just like, I'm going to save all my energy for the race, so I'm going to conserve all my energy. So I sat down, and there was some gentleman who was standing in front of me, and I saw pee trickle down his leg, and I'm like, I can't sit down anymore. Then I had to get up, and I was like, oh no. So anyway, so that was the nutrition aspect. But once the buzzer went bzz, then the race was on, right? And that's what I was looking at. Like, I ran. For me, I was really lucky because my run is strong, and we had to run to a certain point into the sea, and then get into the water. Again, luckily, so I had gone with the strategy that I don't want to get kicked. I am happier to do a little bit extra distance, but I don't want to get kicked, because everyone wants to do a shorter distance, so they go more towards the inside of the lane. I was throughout on the outside. I stuck to it, didn't get kicked. Life was good. We had an Australian exit, which means that you come out, you stamp on the timing mat, take a U-turn, enter again, and then come back, and that is your 1.9K loop. So that went well for me. No stress. Yes, when I was going back, I think because again, this is the I said that I won't, so I won't. So it went okay. There was a lot of people who were still coming on, like, onwards when I was on my route out. So that was a little bit of a struggle, but it was okay. For me, I was happy. Why? Because I'd gone with a 40-minute target. I ended up doing a 38 something, around 39 minutes. So for me, that was good. Now, the next thing was the transition, because transition is also included. So for our transition, there was like a 600-meter run to the transition spot, right? So that's a bit long. But again, I'm not complaining. Run is my strong leg, right?
Yeah.
So in fact, I think I had, because of the fact that I had practiced my transitions many times before, I knew exactly what needed to be done. And I had set everything up for myself. So I went running. One thing was just before the entrance, there were showers. So some people had stopped and they were showering and blocking the entrance. So of course, like when I'm racing, I'm a little bit rowdy. Generally also a little bit rowdy. So I was like, hey, move. And they moved, they gave me way. I was still one of the first people who was going. So out of the water fast means you tend to avoid all of the traffic, the excess traffic which comes. So went out, picked up the bike, ran to the, put my cleats on. I remember I'd put my goggles into my pocket and I had forgotten to take them out. And then one of the relay participants, goggles. So then I took it and I threw it, and that avoided me carrying excess 100 grams.
Yeah.
Okay.
And being less aero also.
Correct. Yeah. So anyway, then was the cycle leg. The cycle leg also, the first leg was so there were two loops, right? Two loops of 45 kilometers each. So the 70.3, for those who do not know, is a 1.9K swim followed by a 90K ride, followed by a 21.1K run. The one that happened in Goa happened in the month of November. The waters were very calm and they were quite nice. The only thing that was a bit of an issue was the jellyfish, which also, thanks to the organizers, they kind of got rid of it. And then there are different corals even in terms of the timing of the swimmers. So the first guys who go, no, they clear everything for the guys at the back. Best. You go explore the territory, uncharted territory. So, and then the cycle leg was a hilly leg. So it's hot, it's humid, it's hilly. So there's a lot of things going against you in the cycle leg. And then there is the run leg. The run leg, of course, it gets really, really hot by the time the run comes in. You are also fatigued because of the 90K of cycling, racing and not finishing, and then the swim prior to that. And the heat, of course, the heat just kills you. I think and of course it was hilly. There was that Donna Paula climb, which was which was a killer climb. But other than that, it was a good route to have. And it was a 7K loop, which we did 3 times. So then the cycle leg, the first loop was nice. Nice, why? Because you're still fresh. You've got your nutrition in. The winds were favorable. Favorable means they were not troubling us.
Right.
But in the second loop, those winds, the crosswinds, and I had just changed into my deep section. And I had the 86 at the back. And I remember there's like this one bridge and it's a downhill and you pick up a lot of speed. Yeah. And the wind is like pushing you. Oh my God. I was
just there you were taking a downhill and turning, and there is a gust of crosswinds.
So that was very scary. But also once for me specifically, once I did it, there was a lot of confidence which came into the self, whoa, you can handle this too, man. You're really badass, right? So that happened. It was great. There were aid stations. They were handing out water, cold water, which was good. I pretty much had put my bottle cage holders at the back, and then I had 2 in front. So I had 2 liters. 500, 750. So 1.5, 2.5 liters. I did use a little extra, but what I did was when I was grabbing the bottles, I just sipped on it and I threw it, before I crossed the area. Because that cold water is very, very refreshing, especially in that heat. So again, luckily I had a pretty safe ride. Only on one of the rumblers, one of my bottles from the back bottle cage flew off. and I was not going to stop to get it. So I felt really sad because that was a really nice Morton bottle. So for a minute I was like, okay, 1 second of silence for that bottle, and then move on. So the again, there was no, because of the fact, see, like for me, when I'd been training for at least 90K had become my regular ride. It was my regular ride. So 90K, that distance was not much for me. Yes, the climb. So when I had that 1 week prior, I'd done at least two recce's of the route, and I knew the climbs that were coming. So I knew that route. Like at that point in time, that week. Today you ask me, I don't remember, but that week I knew that route very, very well. So I knew exactly where the climb is going to come. I had identified locations where I need to push to and where I can start recovering. So like I said to you, like, don't leave anything to chance. What you can control, control. So that is what I did. 2 loops done. I was actually very surprised with my performance. My cycling performance was something that I did not expect from myself prior to that.
Right.
Like you've seen me cycling before. I have never, like, that was a beautiful performance for that distance, for that route, for that heat. And I think it is only after that particular cycling leg that I became very serious about cycling also. So like, in fact, this year cycling is on one of my cat A's to perform in.
Right.
And
You were, I think, one of the first, including the elites. I mean, were there any ladies before you?
There was,
I think, like
one Swiss lady. Yeah. So so when I got out of the water, there were maybe 4 women who were ahead of me. And then by the time I got done, there was just the Swiss lady who was ahead of me.
Right,
Yeah. So like within the first 25 kilometers, even before the U-turn, I'd dropped everyone else. Like in women, I'd dropped everyone else. Not that that is a benchmark, but that obviously at that point in time, it gave me a bit of a morale boost.
Definitely, and it was a benchmark for yourself, compared to where you were before, right?
Yes.
So that itself is a good, good step up.
Yes.
For that kind of motivates you for pursuing further. Yeah.
For sure. That was a game changer for me when it came to cycling, because I never knew that. I think I never knew. Everyone around me also never knew. Like a lot of people commented also on the performance, and they were just like, "Was that you? Like, or was that a different Tim Tim who was riding that day?" And I'm like, "No, that was me, man." So the cycle leg happened. I actually didn't know that there was a girl ahead of me in that, right? Like, because she also, like, she came just, I think, 2 or 3 days prior to the event, and pretty much I knew who the competition was in India. So I didn't register. Maybe if I had, I could have pushed a little bit more, but it's okay. Like, it's a benchmark again. Like, it was she performed phenomenally. She is a cyclist. She performed phenomenally. She's come from a cold country. She came to a tropical country, and she performed the way she performed, which was phenomenal, right? And her cycle leg to full beast mode only. So that got over. Then I parked my cycle, got ready. Ye to apna run leg hai. And then I started running. I think there was only one point in the run leg. It was hot. It was
Very, very
hot. Oof. It was scorching. Like, I could feel like fumes coming out of my head, ears, everywhere, right? But the aid stations were really good, and the volunteers were really good because, there was a lot of ice. They were throwing water. There was electrol, coke, and then I was still not in that space where, like, I don't know what's happening. So I kept, like, as I was approaching the aid station, I would keep telling them, okay, I want this, I want that. Couple of times they got it wrong, then I threw it. So they knew that I'm going to throw a tantrum. So they're just like, just give her what she wants. So that was good. The first, when the transition happened, of course, jelly legs happens. So, in fact, that jelly legs happened in duathlon also, Abhi, like bar duathlon. Yeah. So the jelly legs happen, and the first kilometer or so, you're just trying to figure out how the legs are moving. But for me, it was really positive.
Transitioning from cycling
To the
run, right? You can't really feel the legs as normal as
Different muscle
possible.
groups,
Yeah,
so like
yeah.
this, like this, and now suddenly you're like chuck, chuck, chuck. But surprisingly, I was going faster in the transition. I was like, whoa, what's going on, man? And then when the first climb happened, I started walking, and then like as I was walking up that climb, I'm like, nah, I haven't come so far to walk now. So then I started running, and then after that I didn't stop. Like then I was just continuously running. Of course, you were there at the
Yeah, I chose a spot that is the most sadistic on a hill. Uh, we were sitting under a
Under the
tree.
shade.
Under a tree, there was a bench. We were sitting and like watching all of you guys climbing.
These
It
fools,
was
look at
like-
them. Look at them suffer. Okay, suffer better.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, but it was like, and I've said this many times before, the cheering, it gives you a second lease of life. And to see people that you know personally there on the course, everything aside, in that moment, it is just everything. And for me, like, I was really lucky. Like, this is home, right? And thankfully, touch wood, like, I have a certain amount of popularity, and all through the route, whether like when it came to the bike leg, there was Rushit, there was you, there was, of course, like my parents were there, Ankush, all the entire gamut of people, even my competitors, like people on the course, they continuously kept like cheering, and that just gives you a second lease of life when you're running. So ho gaya. Uske baad the 2 loops, then third loop, final stretch I saw. I like sprinted. And you know, this is one of my dreams. Like I keep seeing people collapse. Okay, like your legs are wobbling and someone has to hold you. And I'm just like, I want to push myself so much. Like even in cycling, right? I see so many people, they'll finish the race, like full vomit is happening. I'm like, I want to reach that point. So I'm like, okay, in Goa, I've really, really pushed. I am going to collapse.
Nothing.
I'm like-
you're just too strong. You know?
Maybe it's all the strength and conditioning. Yeah, it's the strength and conditioning. I'll give it to that.
Yeah.
Or maybe I just don't push enough. Maybe I'm lazy.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Let's see. Maybe that day will come.
Maybe that day will come. We can live on hope. In fact, I have planned a speed workout session with a friend of mine who is a sprinter, where like we're gonna make you vomit, man. We're gonna make you vomit. Like that's the goals. No, but seriously, so I was very lucky. Like a lot of things can go wrong, but for me on that day, whatever could go right went right. And that is probably, it was a stellar performance. I finished it in 5:23. Also, now I am, as of right now, I am the fastest female Indian 70.3 finisher, which is like a nice title to have. But it also means that everybody else is training for that time. So am I. Like,
Yeah,
you know, yeah. So that is a benchmark for me to kind of get better than that, faster than that. Of course, Caitlin was the Swiss girl. So she did a 5, she did it 13, 5, I'm 5:23, so she's 5:10. So that would be the next, because now that's the course record.
Maybe 5:10, sub 5. Maybe.
One baby step at a time. So that was that, and it was a great day for me. It was a really good day. I was surrounded by a lot of positivity. The performance went really well. I'm just very, very grateful for the experience.
So you won your age group
I did.
and second woman overall, right?
And the fastest run leg. In fact, so it was on the run leg that I saw Caitlin the first time. And then we started we started giving each other high fives as we were crossing each other. And then we speak at the end. And she tells me, she's like, oh, I saw you running. And I was like, shit, I have to run faster than her. And then I was like, and I saw you running. And I'm like, nah, she's already on 5th kilometer now. I cannot catch up with her no matter what it is. But it was good. Like, that competition does that to you. Like it makes you push a little bit more than what you usually would have. So that was good. It was a good day. So
awesome. Yeah. So congratulations on that performance.
thank you.
So you mentioned Vietnam, right? When did that happen?
Vietnam was this last weekend.
Yeah.
Not for me. I didn't.
Oh, you didn't.
No.
Right. I was like, I was wondering. What?
She's been here only. She is. I saw her riding on the roads of Bangalore. Why is she talking about Vietnam? No, but so I do follow like all of the different events which are happening because now triathlon is my main sport,
Right.
right? So I do follow what are the events. In fact, because Vietnam is a pretty flat course. It was one of the courses that I had in mind that I might do this year. But of course, then the year kind of took over after that, and then I was quite exhausted by April because I was doing a lot of traveling. And like I said, like, work is important. You're also a working athlete, so am I. So work is important because that's what funds all these adventures that we go on. So that took over. I felt exhausted and I didn't have enough of a training block for it, and that's why I told you a few weeks ago that now I'm going to be in Bangalore. I'm not traveling anywhere. I'm just going to be in a focused training block. So for me, my next triathlon will again be Goa.
Right.
And then I will go, and the next target is Dubai for my first international, because again, that is a good course.
When is Dubai?
It should be in February of 2024. Yeah.
So October is Goa 70.3.
Yes,
Which is
October.
next, and then next year is Dubai. You're
Dubai
looking at.
2024.
Right.
Then I think I will, because Goa is now home, no? I'll do Goa every year.
Yeah.
It's a good holiday also.
That's good. That's
Yeah.
good. So, it's, yeah, just had this thought. Do you think the shorter you struggled because of the shorter distances versus middle distance, because the compared to your performance at the nationals, sprint triathlon to Ironman, the difference in performance in each of those legs is starkly different.
Yes.
So do you think you do better at longer distances versus shorter ones, or is it that it was just completely new?
No. So so for me, it was always 70.3. So when I'd even gone for my trials, I had gone for the state trials thinking, anyway, I'm training for 70.3. Let me go see what's happening. Okay. Like, remember last time we were giggling a lot because everything was in so much fun and games. So that's how it happened. And then when the nationals started coming, so first initially I didn't know whether I would even make the cut for the nationals, not because of my performance, but because of my age. Because if I was in the selection committee, yes, it makes sense to give to the fastest athlete, but it makes more sense for me to give an opportunity to a younger athlete who has got more time to be performing in that sport, right? So at no point in time, even though I was one of the top performers in the trials, did I stop training for the 70.3. So when the nationals came as well, I did not change my training plan. I was still training for the 70.3. I was like, my cat, like, I'm very clear. I never, like, if I choose something, this is who I am as a person. If I have chosen something and I had chosen in April, my cat A is 70.3, come hail, come storm, come anything. And that's what it was going to be. Nationals came and went. 70.3 was always the goal. So the only thing I did was taper. That taper also happened when I had to travel for nationals, which was 3 days prior. Usse pehle bhi, I was still doing my regular training. And I was getting irritated also that this national has come. It's spoiling my training plan.
Right.
But it was a very good outing in terms of experience, because I made so many mistakes there. Imagine I'd made all those mistakes in my 70.3. So for the people who are listening to this, if you're planning an event, go out and do a few trial events.
Right.
Learn your mistakes in those trial events, because that is key. And please learn from those mistakes. Don't repeat the same mistakes again and again and again, right? Whether it is a transition, whether it is nutrition, whatever it may be, learn from it. That's key.
So that you learned all those, you noted down the mistakes that you did in your, the shorter event, and that became kind of template for you to, okay, I need to correct this, and then you executed that in your main year race, which was perfect, right? So now coming to we briefly touched and said how your strength and conditioning and yoga is kind of helping you, right? What kind of routine do you follow to for strength and conditioning and yoga?
Okay. So when it comes to strength and conditioning, now obviously, like, I have a paucity of time. So I need my best bang for the buck, right? So for athletic performance, there's something which is, of course, for the aesthetics, where we will target muscle groups, isolate them so that they look more beautiful, they will, all of that. And then there's some which is for athletic performance. Athletic performance needs more compound movement so that in one movement, I am able to activate and exercise all the different muscle groups that I will be using or utilizing in my performance.
Right.
So all of my workouts are based that way. I work out 3 times a week, and I incorporate a separate core section for each. Everything has to have a proper warm up, proper cool down. So that's essentially what the body of my workout is like, and that is what I give to my trainees as well. Like, even when you train with me, the strength and conditioning and mobility is a non-negotiable, because I have learned firsthand. I have seen so many people suffer, and a lot of people be like, no, no, it's okay, like blah blah. But no, like, anyone who's telling you otherwise, strength and conditioning is important. Improving the quality of your muscle is important. Progressive overload is important. Progressive overload is important in every kind of workout, whether it is even your cycling, because you see, even in your cycling or in each of these individual sports, you do have a system of high intensity, you have a system of low intensity, you have a system of loading, you have a system of deloading, recovery. This is all important. Similarly, mobility. So recovery is very important. Mobility is part of recovery. The better range of motion that you have, the faster your body will get back to a state of normalcy. A better recovered athlete can go out and can train harder. The quality of your workouts will improve, which eventually will lead to a better performance, right?
Right.
Because what you're doing is you're constantly, if you're able to recover and you're working on your threshold, especially for endurance, then your threshold improves. Threshold is what? The rate at which your lactic acid is getting flushed out of your system. So if you have to, if say at 32 kmph is where your threshold is, but you want to build it up to 35 kmph, how do you work on that? You work on that 32 when 32 becomes normal. And then you move to the next level. Then you move to the next level, and slowly. So this is a time consuming, patience building process, but it is a process that works. And the similar thing happens even in your strength and conditioning. Similar things happen even in your mobility. You may not get, say, you cannot get a split, say, but you start working on opening your hamstrings, you start working on opening your hip flexors, and over a period of time, slowly, there's a certain amount of relaxation that happens. There's longevity in the muscle fiber that happens, and over a period of time, it is able to take more beating. The more well recovered you are, the better range of motion you have, the better your recovery will be. And this is augmented also with nutrition, because these are not separate silos. They are not separate verticals. They are verticals which work together to create a holistic environment in which an athlete can perform beautifully. So the whole point is, and for everyone it is different. So what is the combination for you will be different from what is the combination for me. And the idea is to customize it. So for example, you may also be doing 3 sessions a week of strength and conditioning. So will I. But our thresholds will be different, our strength will be different, our power will be different, and we have to find that and start working from there. So even though there can be a generic formula, there has to be specificity and customization per person that is involved.
Right. So I was just about to correct you that I don't do 3 sessions. I do only 2 sessions. But no, now I understood. Yeah.
I said you may.
But let us say, can you give an example of what is involved in what kind of workouts can go into a strength and conditioning session? Say, take one cycle of a strength and conditioning sessions, and take us through what can be the what can be included in those sessions to work on something like your sport, to help your sport, say triathlon?
Okay, so for me now, I need to work on both my upper body as well as lower body. Why? Because my swimming requires a lot of upper body strength,
Right.
and my core is required in all three sports. So that is a non-negotiable. So you need a core aspect. Now the core, you can have different iterations, right? Again, depending on where exactly you are. So it could be something very basic, isometric, like a plank. Or it could be something that is more dynamic, like say a V-up or a jackknife, right? Or like when you're looking at a full, so I will always do full body workouts, right? So when I'm doing full body workouts, if I want something that works my entire body, it could be a burpee. I could add certain, like if the burpee is becoming easy for me and I have only that much time. Now there's only two ways to increase intensity. Either you do it via duration, or you increase it via resistance, or you reduce the recovery period. Anyway, like my sessions are 1 hour. Like 1 hour means start to finish 1 hour. I don't have time because my time has to be utilized in other different ways.
Right.
So what I work on is the strength aspect. So I will maybe add resistance to the burpees that I'm doing. If I want explosive power, I can add box jumps. If I want more explosive, I will add dumbbells and then I'll do the box jumps, right? Or I might do a higher box jump. So it depends again, like on each individual's. Like, so whatever is the workout for me will be different from what it is for you.
Right.
But it will be like this, like I will incorporate 3 to 4 full body compound movements. It could be a thruster, it could be a burpee, it could be a step up with a press, it could be burpee followed by a box jump. It could be something, it could be different variations of squats, because squats and lunges are very basic foundational movements. Upper body, I will include definitely push-ups. Nowadays, I'm working on pull-ups. I'm finally up to 4 to 5 in one set, which is fantastic. No, but it's not a strict pull-up. So you can see like all the effort on my face like happening.
Dude, I can't even do one, so that's
But then you've broken your shoulder bone also, no? Your collarbone. Yours a different story. First you do rehab. Different.
that's what that's what is helping me now.
The rehab, na?
Yeah. That's the work in the gym that I'm putting twice every week. That has been tremendously helpful for me.
There is zero doubt in that.
Yeah.
And then, so that will be the main set in terms of the full body. And then I keep a 10-minute just for core. And that 10-minute is excruciating, but you have to suffer through it. Like you said, no. So for me, my entire goal of this year is learn to suffer better.
Right.
Make suffering look better. Suffer, and keep increasing the threshold of suffering, right? So that is the strength and conditioning aspect. Similarly, sometimes it depends. If I've done a very heavy load, then maybe my yoga session will be more hip opening. It's usually a lot of hip opening, calf, because these are the muscles, quadriceps, these are the muscles that I use a lot because of the load. Water is still very nice because water keeps taking out the lactic from the system. And I've still not increased my load in swimming as much. I also like incorporating some resistance band activations. But that activation also will be incorporated into the warm-up somewhere.
Okay.
That's how I do it.
So, say for example, I have a 3-week block, right? And 1 week recovery kind of block, right? So in this block, say weekly you have 3 sessions. So that would give us 9 sessions, right? So how do you kind of cycle through various aspects of strength, various say upper body, core, and lower body kind of thing?
Everything is included in every session. It's just different variations of it.
Oh, okay.
It's different variations because different variations also start activating neuromuscular adaptations which happen.
Right.
So the brain talking to the body. So there will be like maybe in a 6-7 weeks, there will be some repetitions which happen.
Right.
But more often than not, because there are different variations, you will have the glute which is worked out. You will have core though will be worked out every day. You will have some days it will be shoulders, some days it will be chest. but there will be triceps. It will be, but it is again, like I said to you, there is no isolation exercises. What I do.
Yeah.
And the way that
More compound.
yeah, the way that I load the body is you increase the resistance. The way I deload it is the movements will still happen, but the resistance will go down.
Right.
That's how you deload the body.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah. Super. So yoga, do you kind of use yoga to de-stress and improve the mobility?
Absolutely.
How do you inculcate that into the
So I have again 2 to 3. Oh, you had asked me about my week, what the load is like. And then we started talking about strength and conditioning. So I'll have 3 sessions of strength and conditioning, 2 to 3 sessions of yoga. I do 3 sessions of running, 3 sessions of running, 3 sessions of cycling, and I try to do at least 4 to 5 sessions of swimming.
Dude, how do you program this?
Even this door like so I do 3 sessions a day. Like basically my workouts are 3 sessions a day.
Okay.
So I have Mondays, Wednesdays, Friday mornings, which are strength and conditioning. Then I have Tuesdays, Thursdays evening, which is yoga. Then I have on Monday in the mid of the day, I'll do a very light stretching and yoga. Monday is usually very light for me, so more often than not, I'll just be like, "Arey,
rest day, right? Usually.
Yeah, skip the swim." Okay, skip the swim is my agenda every day.
Yeah.
But now I'm learning to not skip the swim. Then Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays. Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturday mornings are my ride mornings. And then I have just after on Wednesday, Sunday is my run days. And then either on the Monday or the Friday, I will add another run in between. So that's after the strength and conditioning again. So it is very hard. Why? Because I do a full power strength and conditioning, and on fatigued legs, I go out and I do this. A normal person will get injured, but I have built myself up. So if someone's getting very inspired right now, please don't. I know it looks like madness, but there has been a method to this madness, and it is, like I said last time, it has taken me 7 years to reach this place, and I've really increased or upped my game in the last, I think since 2021 is when maybe 2020, mid 2020 is when I have really upped my game in terms of strength and conditioning and yoga. So please don't copy paste what I do.
Right. Yeah. You know, it has to be tailored to kind of, each person's where are you coming from?
Correct.
Where do you want to go?
Correct.
And where are you right now in terms of your availability, even in time, and,
in terms of what are the different things that are eating into your time. Because if you see somebody like me, I live like a monk, right? Like my life is training. I've moved into a profession also which incorporates training. So I'm thinking, living, breathing, eating, training all the time. And I love it. I love it. Because if you don't love it, you can't do it. So, and I don't have my family is my parents, my brother. It's not like I have a partner or I have children who need my time. Like everybody in my life is just like, let her do what she wants to do, because otherwise she'll make our life miserable. So there's no additional things that eat into my time, and I also have no problem saying no, because a lot of people have a lot of problem in saying no. I don't have that problem. Like for me, in fact, the default answer for anything, they'll be like, Tim, do something. I'll be like, no. And then you have to convince me to like, no, you must do it. This is why you should do it. So yeah, like that makes a big difference. The kind of person you are as well, the kind of focus that you have. If it's like, oh, this is what I want to do. And I'll tell you something, that a lot of my trainees that I work with, they are incredible. I see the kind of lifestyle that they have. Most of them are C-level execs of like various firms. So the kind of time crunch that they are in, and they take out time, and they have children, and they are like, they are, and see that the problem is, if you're performance oriented everywhere. They want results everywhere. And like for them it's like a personal thing that, oh, why am I not able to? So then they'll try to, like, we go into a very analytical thing, like, okay, if we change this, how do we, like, those little finer details, and it's a lot of fun to even work with each person like this. Yeah,
Right,
it's
right.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is your coaching philosophy now that we are talking about your trainees and working as a coach? So what are the things that you that matter most to you as a coach? What are the things that you look for in a trainee? What are the things, areas that you focus on to for your trainees to kind of get better and stuff?
I think for me it is definitely consistency, discipline, trusting the process. Like so I'm again very choosy. So if I find people who have ridiculous like expectations, I have no problem saying no. Right? So trusting the process, learning to enjoy the process. So for me, the goal is that first they need to be able to surrender, learn to trust the process, build patience, and another thing is to learn to understand your body. Right? Because again, like in my coaching, I speak not just about a particular sport, I speak about a holistic approach towards it, the strength and conditioning, the mobility, these are all non-negotiables, the nutrition, eating the right amount of food, data. A lot of us have invested in a lot of high-end equipment, but we don't we don't understand the simple fact that that data is not just for the workout, it is through the entire day. To understand how to interpret that data, to understand how your body is feeling, and to be able to look at the numbers and still look at it just as a tracking mechanism, like not to be completely dependent on data as well, right? So to understand your body, to and then to be able to have these conversations with me, because see, I can only guide. The better the communication is also a very key part of our coaching or my coaching. Yeah, because the better that we are able to speak to each other, the better we are able to customize the workout to make the experience better for you. Right? Performance, I believe, is a result of the process. So if you're focused only on performance and you're not enjoying the process, there's no fun.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Enjoy the process, have the right people around you, like, and another, like, something that we very beautifully said is, like, understand exactly where you are, because everybody's journey is different.
True.
And we need to respect that journey. And it, like, a lot of people can look at, like me, say for example, I don't have to go anywhere and say, wow, like, she's doing it, so can I. And of course you can. If you put in that effort, you will be able to. But see where you are in the process, and then create that path for yourself, or get someone to help you create that path for yourself. Like, your goals are there, you will get them, but enjoy the process to get there. That's all. Yeah.
Absolutely. Very well said. So you kind of mentioned about nutrition, right? What are your kind of core nutrition principles, and what do you look at or guide in terms of nutrition for your trainers?
So I think number one would be to keep it simple. Number two is to focus on your macro intakes. I think before focusing on macro intakes, two would be to understand what food is, to understand how it fuels you. Because a lot of times we tend to, like, not a lot of times, we have been brought up to consider food as a form of coping mechanism, as a form of reward, as a form of punishment. This is how we look at food. But food actually is fuel. Right? If you are going to put the best fuel in your car and look for performance, why are you not doing it for your body? Right? So understanding how it is as fuel, and then working on the macros, and then understanding what your requirement, where in your training cycle are you, and what your requirements are at a particular. Because when you're focusing on macros, if in race week I'm telling you to focus on macros, then how it's going to happen? I mean, yes, of course, if say in race week I'm telling you to focus on weight loss, how will it happen?
Yeah.
You'll fall. No, maybe that's why I don't fall on that finish line. No, but seriously, so where are you in the training cycle? What is your prime requirement right now? And then accordingly work towards it, whether it is weight loss, whether it is performance, whether it is recovery. What exactly do you need? And accordingly customize that program to fuel you, right?
Awesome, awesome. I think we have done a great job of touching all the points that we talked about at the start,
Yes.
and it has been a fantastic conversation again. Thank you for taking the time and sharing the experience. Let us look at round three maybe next time.
Okay. The adventures of Tim Tim continue.
Yeah.
It's always a pleasure coming and speaking to you, Venki. And I just wanted to tell you, you're doing an incredible job in terms of creating awareness. A lot of my trainees swear by your podcast, and they keep telling me that, oh, every time I sit on the trainer or every time I go out for an easy run, I've got the headphones on, and I'm really enjoying these podcasts which happens. So thank you from their behalf for doing what you do.
Thank you. That was really nice to hear. That was my conversation with Tim Tim Sharma. I hope you enjoyed that. If you are enjoying these podcasts and are finding them useful, please consider supporting the podcast by subscribing to it on YouTube as well as on your favorite podcasting app. It really helps. Supporting the sponsors of the podcast is also a great way to support the podcast itself. Thanks again for your continuous support. See you next week with another guest.